Good evening. This is a conversation that begins at the end. A superstorm named Hurricane Sandy hit the New York City area and the surrounding tri-state region of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. It destroyed hundreds of homes and killed dozens of people. Every individual that was killed was somebody's daughter and somebody's son. As the parents buried their children and were consumed with grief, many of them wondered if the best days of their families were behind them. 1,532. That's the number of days from now that the President of the United States will have until he faces this question. When he leaves office and will have to confront the fact that he will not be able to change, make the kind of difference in the world for the rest of his life that he can in a single day as a president. Today, approximately 620 women will receive diagnoses for breast cancer in various stages. As they confront their own mortality, many of them will wonder if their best days are behind them. If, as it turns out, if life brings something to you, shakes you out of your safe space, your safe conversations, your safe actions, it too will cause you to ask this question: what if your best day is behind you? I had to face this question. So, a little under 2 years ago, I had the privilege of joining The Daily. It was an exciting time. The Daily was one of the startup divisions of News Corporation, and we were the first iPad-only news magazine. They chose me to be a part of the Mission Impossible team, to be on the cutting frontier of publishing, to make the transition from paper to digital, and from digital to tablet. It was amazing. What I couldn't believe was that I was actually going to be a software developer in New York City. I mean, think about it. Sam Krishna, was going to be there. Now, what are the odds? I'm Indian, going to be a software developer, moving to New York. About 100%. But I didn't know that stereotype. The stereotype that I was born with, that I had bought into, was that I was a small town boy and that I should only do and dream of small town things. So the job was incredible. And I also, after I got there, I met a woman and fell in love. For a while, life was good. But then, at some point, once you've dreamed the dream and reached your goals and climbed the mountaintop, things start to lose their luster. So I left the job. And the relationship, that ended also. This woman was the person who I thought was the one. I imagined an entire future with her. Children, family, household, the whole thing. And it too was over. And so I had lost the job, I'd lost the girl, I'd lost the dream. As I was casting about, the resulting black space consumed me. And I had no idea what to do next. A good friend tried to cheer me up by taking me to a Broadway show. As we were watching Les Miserables, I could... What? As we were watching Les Miserables, I could totally identify with Fontine's words that she sang in I Dreamed a Dream. Do you know it? I had a dream my life would be so different from this hell I'm living, so different now from what it seemed. Now life has killed the dream I dreamed. While I was in the black space, I read an article about the hormone oxytocin. Yes, there it is. Now, what I found out about it, I didn't know this before, was that oxytocin is actually the bonding agent that creates feelings of emotional trust and love during a relationship. Now, this is really great. So far, so good, right? However, when the bond is unexpectedly severed, the oxytocin actually winds up turning into a kind of a neurotoxin. And I found that it explained so much about why I was losing sleep, and what it came to for me was something like a neurotoxic spin cycle. And so it was something. I mean, I was just in the space, I couldn't make any changes, and then all of a sudden this article appears and shows me that my body is just having a physiological reaction to an emotional trauma. This was great news. Because what I saw was that if this really was a physiological reaction, then my body could heal. So, what happened next was that I simply did what anybody in my situation could do. I couldn't go forward. I couldn't go backward. It hurt to stand still. So what did I do? I prayed. Praying for a slide. Oh, monitor's off. So, one of the things that I discovered, one of the things that I saw was that inside of faith, we often have faith backwards, whether you were spiritual or atheist. We think of faith as something along the lines of, I'll believe it when I see it. That's not what faith is at all. To have actual faith in faith, you have to believe it before you see it. Once I was actually able to see a way to recovery, I did what anybody who didn't know what was next or who didn't know what to do next could do. I got a good night's sleep. This was incredible. As I started practicing better sleep, more reflection, I started adding the baby steps of exercise and diet as well. And this was just a gigantic difference maker. What I saw over time was that I could actually practice baby steps, building my life back up, and that all of life really was engaging in the exercises of muscle building. This was a revelation, because I saw that I could just take baby steps, putting one foot in front of the other, and because I'm human, I could expect setbacks. Babies fall down. Why can't people? We're still children of our parents. We're still sons and daughters. So, I took on the practice of celebrating everything. You know, if you choose to go to the gym and the best you can do is to tie up your shoelaces, celebrate that. If you can get to the gym but you can't exercise, celebrate that. You are building up your well-being, and you deserve profound celebration for that. One of the things I also did as I was building my life back up was that I saw that I needed to actually reimagine my life from a completely different perspective. So one of the personal development courses I took taught something powerful that really resonated with me. It said that life is actually a series of conversations. Once I saw this, I got clear that if I wanted to have a different future, I needed to create radically different conversations for my life. So, what are the components of a conversation? You have context, participants, location, medium, subject, and language. But language is not exactly what we think. Language can be English, Spanish, the things that we know, but it could also be dance, astronomy, things you can't even imagine have their own language. It really is incredible. So, how to go about creating a radically different conversation? It's actually really simple. Bring beginner's mind to it. What I saw was that beginner's mind embodies the highest emotional qualities such as enthusiasm, creativity, zeal, and optimism. Now, if the reader reflects on these qualities, you can see that you can create enormous value in your life by adding these qualities to it. So, how do we do this? I saw for myself that I could create beginner's mind with a radically simple question. What if I could simply take on that everything was an inquiry, that everything was an exploration? What if nothing was permanent? What if I could actually be grateful for what life brought to me, whether I could value it or not in the moment, and just say thank you? This had profound impact in my life, completely amazing. It completely opened up entirely new doors and vistas for me. But you don't have to take my word for it. Look at some of our cultural heroes and icons. For example, Elizabeth Gilbert, the best-selling author of Eat, Pray, Love. I think that's in, 50 languages now? When she was on her journey after her divorce, she moved through Italy, India, and Indonesia, and then eventually settled back into Frenchtown, New Jersey with her second husband. She left behind the conversations of looking for without and finding validation from the outside world, and she started, as she moved into a conversation for finding happiness from within. Her life turned out pretty well. Also, another icon, Steve Jobs. He left the conversation at Apple back in 1985, the conversation of not agreeing with his boss telling him things he thought were just stupid to do. He went on to pursue his own pure dream of technology. And I think we know how his story ended. Not too shabby. So for me, as I was plunging into the space of the unknown and into these radically different conversations, the first thing I got that I'd never done before was I got a life coach. This was a big deal for me. The other thing that I did was I pursued a different programming language than one I'd been used to, Lisp. Very alien, very strange. It even looks funny on this slide. I also started exploring tech trading and the foreign currency exchange markets. There's just an entire world there. Also, as one other thing that I discovered as I was going through this space was that I started attracting other like-minded people to me. And I made a new friend who enlisted me in supporting her as she pursued her career dream of launching a medical IT startup. She's going to do this amazing thing with prevention in healthcare delivery to make it a reliable, repeatable, and measurable phenomenon for all of the US healthcare system. Pretty badass. So, finally, on my downtime, just looking for more ideas, I started watching TED Talks again. And in one of the TED Talks, I found this amazing exercise called the 2 obituaries. The exercise is really simple. The first obituary has you write an obituary from the point of view of staying in the same safe conversations and the same safe relationships, and simply living your life to please other people without ever, doing things at the expense of your own dreams. The second obituary has you actually write from the point of view of somebody who pursued radically different conversations all the way to fruition. So I did this. The first obituary was for a guy named Whining Sam. I'm not a fan. He is someone who always looks backward and is obsessed about being right and being a victim. The second obituary was about a guy named Future Sam. He is someone who creates the future for himself, and in doing so improves the lives of the people around him. His life can be summarized in one word: forward. So, if you're in this space where things are not working and your life seems to be in a space where your best days are behind you, just know that all you have to do is stop and choose faith again. It doesn't take a career-changing event, a breakup, traveling across the world or even across town, or anything else like that. All you have to do is simply have faith in faith. This conversation began at the end, and now it ends in the future. A future filled with faith and radically different conversations and choice. Yours. Namaste.